Dot operator will be used in order to access the data members and member function. How to create an array of object? It must be created or declared outside the class definition. Object as a function argument or a function parameter, I can send a complete details or replica of that object into the function. Hello everyone, welcome to the last session of your second PUC's Classes and Objects chapter. So myself Rohini TS, Vidyashram Pre-University College, Mysore. So in this session, I will be discussing some of the important topic of classes and objects. So before getting into that, let me have a recap. So whatever the things that we had a discussion in the last two sessions. So in last two sessions, we had a discussion regarding declaration and definition of a objects and classes. That means how we need to define the class and how to declare the class, what are the data members and how the data members must be, and what do you mean by member function, how can we access or how to define the member function. It can be either inside the class definition or outside the class definition. Along with that, we had a discussion regarding access specifier. In order to provide a security for the data, we are having this access specifier concept. There we had three types of access specifier, that is private, public and protected. So after that, we had a discussion regarding member function. So member function, it can be defined either inside the class or outside the class definition. In that also you have to concentrate on how to declare or what is the syntax in order to use the member function inside the class definition. Outside the class definition, there also you need to concentrate on the syntax and how it must be and which operator is used to define the member function outside the class. Everything you must concentrate. After that, how to define an objects of a class. Already you guys know that a class consists of n number of objects. That means we can create any number of an objects for a particular class. Then how to declare this class or how to define the class? First you have to mention the class name, then go with the name of a object. Okay, if you want to create more than one object, at that time each object must be separated by comma. Once you are done with defining an object, at last you have to specify the semicolon that indicates the termination of that particular sentence and defining of an object. After that, how to access the members of a class, that is accessing the members of a class. You guys know that members can be either data member or a member function. Which operator that we are going to use in order to access the members? That is dot operator. Okay, so dot operator will be used in order to access the data members and member function. So in this class or in this session, I will be discussing some of the concept, that is how to use an array as a member of a class. How to use an arrays as a member of a class. Then what do you mean by array of object and object as a function argument? How can I send a object as a functions, arguments or parameter, and what are all the differences between classes and structure? Okay, so these are the topic that I am going to be covered in this session. So coming to the array as a member of classes. So what do you mean by member of a class? As I told earlier, a member can be either data member or a member function. So array can be used as a member of a class in the sense I can use array as a data member of a class. Anyway, you guys know that class consists of both data members as well as the member function. Then how to use this array as a data members of a class? Okay, so before getting into this topic, first you must know what you mean by array and how it will be declared and what is the usage of having array in our program. So then what do you mean by array? Array is nothing but what? It is a collection of homogeneous elements. That means it is a collection of same type of elements. For example, if I am saving or if I am storing 10, 20, 30, 40 in the storage in the sense that has same kind of data. Okay, so let me give you one example regarding this array. So consider one memory allocation. Here I have 3 memory spaces. I am going to store A, B, C. Okay, so I am going to store the value like A, B, C. So which kind of data it is? It is related to character. If it is 20, 30, 40 in the sense, that is of type integer. Okay, so you know how to declare the array. So first we need to specify the data type, then array name, then we need to specify the size of an array. Once you are done, put semicolon. Okay, so in the same way, so this array index starts from 0. That you have to remember. Array index starts from 0 and 1, 2. Okay, so 0th index in the sense that is the first element. If it is the first index, that is second element. If it is second index, that is third element, because array index starts from 0. Okay, I am going to give a name for an array called M. So this is the name of an array and these are all the elements of an array, and this specifies the index. So that specifies the index or a position of an element in an array. Okay, array is a collection of homogeneous element, that is same kind of elements will be stored by using a concept called array. What if I want to store 3 in this position instead of C? But this array won't allow me to store 3 because 3 is another data type that belongs to what? Integer kind of data. So that I cannot use that 3 in order to store the value AB3. Okay. So this array means what? It will help me to store the same kind of data 10, 20, 30 and 40 if you consider, then index starts from 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is how array will going to work. But how can I apply this concept inside the class, and how can I use this array as a data members of a class? Okay, so we'll see now. Array can be used as a data member of a class. Already we know what you mean by data member of a class. A variable which is presents inside the class is known as what? Data member of a class. It can be private, public or protected. Okay, based on the requirement of a program, we are going to specify the access specifier. We are going to use the array as a data member of a class. It can be in a private or a public mode. Okay, so let me take one example. Here you must know that what is this? I am creating a class. What is the class name here? Marks is a class name. What is the name of a class? That is marks, and this indicates opening of a class. Then how to declare the data members of a class? I need to specify what? Data type along with a variable name. But here I am taking an array as a variable. Then how to declare that kind of array as a member of a class? Here I am specifying the data type. Okay, I am specifying the data type. Here int is a data type, and what is this A? A is nothing but what? Name of an array. Name of an array, and this indicates size of an array. Okay, so this indicates what? Size of an array. That means what? It will allow me to store 5 elements. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Index starts from 0 and I can store the values like 10, 20, 30, 40 and then 50. Okay, what is the name of an array here? A. So I can call it as A. A is equal to 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. Okay, so this will going to hold the data of a data type integer. Getting? After that, I am taking one more variable. It is a normal data variable, that is int I. Okay, after that we have member function. And at last I am going to close the scope of a class. That means what? I can take an array as a member of a class. Okay, so like a normal variable, I can also take an array as a variable of a class. Okay, that is regarding array as a member of a class. Now we'll see what is this array of objects. So before getting into this topic, let me tell you one example. Consider employee. I have one company and I have 50 employees there. Okay, I am going to create a class employee and I am going to take their employee ID and that employee has a name, char name, and this is employee ID is of type integer. Okay, so I have two variables, two data variables, that is employee ID and name of a employee. So name is a character type array, and this is nothing but what? Employee ID is a of data type integer. Okay, I am not using any of the member function here. I am going to close the class. I have two data members in a class called employee, that is employee ID and name. Okay, so these two are the data variables or data members of a particular class called employee. Okay, if I want to access the data members, then I need to create an object and I must call this data member with the help of dot operator. Okay, so let me create an object for this class employee. So what is the class name? EMP. And how to create an object for a particular class? First we need to specify the class name, then object name. I am going to create E1 as an object. So what is this E1 will going to store? This E1 will going to store the value which is resides in this employee class. So what this employee consists of? That includes both employee ID and name. Okay, so it will going to store employee ID and name. So this is for a single object. What if I want to create more than 100 objects? So at that time, how you are going to create an object? That means you are supposed to create employee E1, comma E2, comma E3, up to what? Up to 100 elements, that is E100. So at that time you can store the value of 100 employees value. So in each employee value that will has its own employee ID and name. Okay, so if it is E1, then the first employee's ID along with the name will be stored in this memory space. If it is E2, then it will going to store the value of employee ID and name of a second employee up to 100 employees. If it is E100, it will going to store the employee ID along with the name of a particular employee of E100. Okay, is it okay to use more than hundreds or thousand? How we are going to remember all these data? That is somehow not possible, right? So that we have a concept in order to solve this problem. That is nothing but what? Array of objects. Okay, so instead of creating 100 objects, I can create one object of the type array. So that will going to solve these kind of problem. Okay, so that's why we are going to use this array of object concept. So an array having class type element is known as what? Array of object, and this is important for 1 marks question. What do you mean by array of object? And what do you mean by array of object? Explain with example. That is also important for 5 marks question. That is also important for what? 5 marks question. Okay, so what it mean here? An array having a class type element. So already you know what do you mean by array? That consists of what? Similar kind of data or homogeneous elements, right? When an array has class type elements, that means the class consists of data members and member function within it. So it is possible to use an array as a class type elements. That is known as what? Array of objects. Okay, so an array of objects is declared after the class definition, and we are not going to create an array of objects in a different manner. We are going to create in a normal manner, as it will going to define in the same way as any other array. Okay, how to create an array? First we need to specify the data type of an array, then array name. After that I need to specify the size of that particular array. So in this way only we are going to create an array of objects. Okay, so we'll see one program here. Here I have a class called employee. What is the class name here? Employee. And I have a private access specifier. Okay, so with two data members, that is char, name of 100, int age. So what are the two data members of a class employee here? Name and age. Okay, so name and age are the two data members of a class employee, and I am going to have two member function, get data and display data. Okay, so in this class I have two data members called employee name along with age. After that I have two member function, that is get data and display data. Okay, I am going to end the scope of a class. So where the array of object must be defined, an array of object will going to declared after the class definition. So this is the end of a class definition. After this I am going to create an array of the type class, because class is a user defined data type. If I want to specify the data type of a class, if I want to specify the data type of a class data type, and I need to specify the array name, then I need to specify the size of an array. Okay, if an array having a class data type, that is known as what? Array of objects. Okay, because we are going to create an object for a class. So for that we are going to use a syntax like what? Class name, and then I need to specify the object name. So if I have more than one object, I need to specify the number of object and then semicolon. In the same way, I can use an object of the type array, but this array can also has the data type of class. That is nothing but what? Array of objects. Okay, then how to create that array of object? I need to specify the class name, and I must take the array name along with the size. Okay, so what is the name of a class here? Employee. So the name of a class is what? Employee. Here I am creating an object of the name supervisor. What is the name of an object here? It is an object of type array, but this array will going to have a data type of class. Okay, so what is the name of an object here? Supervisor. And what is the size? 3. So instead of creating 3 number of supervisor object, I can have array of object. So let me show you. I am going to clear all these things. So what is the name of a class here? Employee. I am creating an object of type array. Supervisor is the name of an object of type array having the size of 3. Okay, so instead of creating employee, supervisor 1, comma supervisor 2 and supervisor 3, so with the help of this array of object concept, I am creating only one object of size 3. Okay, so with the help of this supervisor object, I can store the name and I can store the age of all the 3 employees. Okay, it will going to hold the value of supervisor 1, supervisor 2 and supervisor 3. So it will going to hold the value of name and age. Here also it will going to hold the value of name along with the age. In the same way for the supervisor 3. Okay, so if you want to create more number of objects at that time, this array of object will help us a lot in order to create an efficient program. Okay, so in the same way I am going to create one more object called sales executive of the size 5. So this also will going to hold the data like name and age of the 5 employees data. So it will going to hold the data of name and age of the 5 employees, that is sales executive. Okay, so I am creating one more object. Employee is the class name and team leader of 10. So instead of creating 10 objects of team leader, I can create only one object team leader with a size of 10. So it has a ability to hold the value of all the 10 team leaders data. So that includes name and age. Okay, so this is how array of objects will going to work. So when an array having a class type elements, that is known as what? Array of object. It must be defined outside the class. That means when the class scope ends, at that time we need to declare this array of objects. Okay. So now we'll see one program. So in this program, I am going to take the value of register number and mathematics marks along with the computer science marks. After that, I am going to take an average of those two subject marks, and then later on I am going to display the average of those two subject marks. Okay, so in order to create this program by using array of object concept, how we are going to develop a program for that array of object, we'll see now. So here I am taking two header files, include iostream.h and include conio.h. So I am creating a class called data. What is the class name here? Data, and this indicates a opening of a class. So this indicates what? Scope of a class opening here, and I have what? Register number, maths, CS and average are the four data member of a class called data of the access specifier private. Okay, so the type of data are integer. This register number, maths and CSR are the type of data integer, and this average will going to have the data type of float. Okay, so these four are the data members of a class called data. After that, I have three member function. What are the member function name here? Read data, average and display. So these three are the member function of a class called data. So how I am defining or declaring the data member function here? I am just declaring the member function inside the class, but I am going to define the member function outside the class. Okay, so how to define the member function outside? For that, we need to specify the return type. After that, we need to specify the class name, then the scope resolution operator, and we must mention this member function name. Okay, so if you want to define the member function outside the class, then that member function must be declared inside the class. Okay, so there must be declaration of a member function inside the class, then only we can define the member function outside the class. Okay, and here the scope of this read data opens. See out, enter the register number. Here I am asking the user to enter their register number. By using this cin, I am going to take the value of register number. In the same way, by using this cout statement, I am going to take the value of maths and computer science marks with the help of this maths and CS variables. Okay, with the help of this cin, I am going to collect the value of maths and CS. After that, I am going to end the scope of this read data. Okay, so in read data, I am going to take the value of what? Register number along with the mathematics marks and computer science marks. So then I am going to find average of these two subject marks. For that, I have one more member function, that is average. Okay, so I am defining this average outside the class definition, so that I have to follow the syntax. It must consider what? Return type, then I am specifying the class name. Later on I have scope resolution operator. What is the usage of scope resolution operator? To define the member function outside the class, we need to use this scope resolution operator. Okay, and I am specifying the name of member function, that is average. After that, I have one more variable called average of the data type what? In float, because it will going to give the fractional value, so that I am going to declare this average as a float data type. Okay, after that, average is equal to maths marks plus CS by 2. What if I have more than 2 subjects? Consider if it is 3. At the time, I am going to create M1 plus M2 plus M3, and I am going to add all these 3 values and will be divided by 3. Okay, that is in order to find the average of any of the number. If it is 5, then adding of all the 5 elements and must be divided by 5. Okay, that will give us average. After that, whatever the value I am going to specify in the read data function, this maths and CS marks will be added up and must be divided by 2. That value will be stored in the variable called average. Okay, so this ends the scope of this average function. After that, I have one more function. What is another one more function? That is display. I am going to specify the return type and then class name, scope resolution operator is here. After that, member function name. What are the sentences I am going to display by using this display member function? We'll see now. This opens the scope of this display member function. After that, here I am taking student details. For your convenience, I am having this line, that is student details. What I am displaying here? Student related data. That means their register number, their math marks and computer science marks. After that, I am going to display the average of those two. Okay. So here I am displaying student details. After that, by using cout statement, I am displaying the value or the data which is given to the register number, that will be stored in the variable called register number. Okay. After that, maths and CS marks. So where is the maths value stored? In the variable called maths, and this CS marks will going to store in the CS variable. Okay. So after that, I have one more line, that is average. So where the average value gets stored, that will be stored in the average variable. So that I am using average variable here and end of the line. Okay. So array of object concept that we are using here, so that here I can take more than 100 students as an object in a single program. So I am differentiating this with a dotted lines. Okay. So once you see the output, you will get to know what is the usage of this dotted lines and all. Okay. And I am ending the scope of this display function. After that, I have main function, that is void main. Where the actual execution of a program gets started, that will be from the main function. Okay. So in the main function, I am creating an array of objects. How to create an array of object? It must be created or declared outside the class definition. Okay. And it must be defined in the normal declaration of an array. But the data type must be class data type or class type of an array element. Okay. So that how to declare an object? First we need to specify the class name, then object name. But here I am using array of objects, so that I need to specify the size. Okay. So data is the class name here, and I am taking an STU, that is the object name, and I have a size of 3. So what it means? I can store the value of 3 students by making use of this array of object concept. Okay. So this is important line. Data is the class name and stu is the object name here, and I am specifying the size 3. Okay. So you can change the size as you wish. After that, I have a clear screen function. After that, I am taking a for loop. Okay. When I know the exact number of iteration, at the time I will go with this for loop. Here I have declared 3 students or size 3 for the array, but I am going to restrict myself to the 2. That means I am going to display only 2 students values or information. Okay. For I is equal to 0, initially I value will be 0. Okay. What is the I value? Initially 0. After that I have comparison, that is I less than 2. What is the I value right now? 0. It will going to check whether 0 is less than 2. If it is true, then only it will come to this loop. Whether 0 is less than 2, true or false, it is true. So that it will come here and it will going to execute this first line. STU of I. What is the value of I right now? That is 0. So here we are using an array of the size 3. So 0, 1 and 2. Right? So we are creating an array of size 3 and the index will start from 0. 0, 1, 2. So STU of 0. So this is STU of 1. So this indicates STU of 2. Okay. So this is how the array values will going to store in a memory. So in this stu of 0, that means what? First element of an array. What is the array name here? STU. Okay, array name is STU, and in the first element it will going to usage of this dot operator that will be used to access the data members as well as the member function. So here I am calling the member function read data. Okay, so what were there in the read data function? That means it will going to take the register number as well as the maths and CS marks. Okay, so that value will be stored in this read data function. After that, once the execution of this read data ends, it will comes to the next line. So there also it will going to take the value of this average, that it will going to access the member function average. What were there in the average function? It will going to take the value of maths and CS, then it will divide the value by 2. That value will be stored in the average variable. Okay, so once the execution of this average function ends, at last it will come to the display function. So stu of 0 dot display. What's there in display? It will going to display like student details and what is the register number and what is the maths and CS marks along with the average, which were calculated by using the average member function. Okay, then now can you guess what will be the output of this program? I need to give what register number, maths and CS marks. After calling this average function, it will going to find the average of those two marks, and when I am calling this display function, it will going to display the student detail. In that there we have register number as well as the maths and CS marks. After that it will going to show me the average of those two subject marks. Okay, so and it will come here. Again I will be incremented to 1 at this time. At this point I become 1. Then again it will going to check whether 1 is lesser than 2. It is true. Then it will come here and it will going to fill the data of STU of 1. Okay. Again it will come here and it will going to check whether 2 is less than 2. Is 2 is less than 2? False. That means it will comes out of the loop. It will comes out of the for loop. Okay. Here I have specified size of the array object as 3, but I am restricting myself to hold the data of 2 students. That means it will not going to fill this value. Okay, so it will going to fill the value of student 1 and student 2 of index 0 and 1, because 2 is not lesser than 2. If it is 2 lesser than or equal to 2, then this becomes true, but not in this case. This is false here, so that it will come out of the loop and it will enter to the getCH function and it ends the scope of this main function. Okay, so this is how array of objects will going to work. Instead of creating more number of objects, I can create a particular or same object with the help of this array of object concept. Then how will be the output looks like? So first it will going to take the register number. So here I have given 110 as a register number and enter the maths and CS marks. So I am giving 67 and 83. After taking this one, display function will be called. So in the display function, I have a lines like student details, register number, maths and CS marks along with the average. Okay, so it will going to give the value of register number, that is 1110, maths and CS marks are 67 and 83. So it will going to add these two value and it will going to take the average, that is 75. Okay, so I have used dotted lines in order to make a separation of the two objects here. Okay, that's why I have used that line, so that enter the register number. So this is regarding STU of 0th value. So whatever the data is there in the first index, that means it will going to store the first student details in this one. After this, it will going to store the output of STU1. Okay, so in this also I can store the register number and I can have the maths and CS marks, that is 55 and 80. It will going to display the register number as well as the CS and maths marks. Then it will going to produce an average of these two subject marks. Okay, so this is how array of objects will going to work. Okay, I think you are all aware of this array of object concept. Okay, so these are the important points that you have to write. When an array having class type elements, that is known as what? Array of objects. Okay, it must be defined in the same way as the array declaration, but it must be in the after the declaration or definition of a class. The next topic is object as a function argument. Already we know that what do you mean by argument. Okay, arguments are nothing but what? Parameter that I am going to send with a function. For example, so here I must have data type and then function name must be there. After that I need to specify some of the arguments or parameter. So this is nothing but what? Arguments or parameter. Is it possible to use the object as a parameter? Yes. So with the help of this object as a function argument, we can send an object or a complete object as an argument or a parameter to the function. That is nothing but what? Object as a function parameter. Okay, so we'll see how can we send this object as a function parameter. Okay, so in previous example you can see that here I have created an object called stu. So can I use this stu in this member function as an argument? Yes, with the help of this object as a function argument or a function parameter, I can send a complete details or replica of that object into the function as an argument or a parameter. Okay, so we'll see a function can receive an object as a function argument. So that is nothing but function parameter. That means what are all the data variables that you are going to send within the function argument. Object can also be sent as a function arguments or a parameter. So this is similar to other data being sent as a function argument. So let me take one example. Int sum of int a comma int b. What are the arguments I am sending here? A and b. So this a and b are the arguments of a function called sum. What it will going to return? So it will going to return a plus b. Okay, that value will be sent back to this function called sum. Can I send, instead of these arguments or a parameter, can I send an object as an argument? Yes, that is possible with this object as a argument or a function parameter. Okay, so we'll see how to do that. So this an object can be passed to a function parameter or as a function arguments either in the two ways. Okay, either of two ways. That means I can copy the entire object and I can transfer that as an argument or a parameter. That is nothing but what? Pass by value, or else I can send only the address of that object. That is nothing but what? Function, that is pass by reference. If I am sending the copy of complete object as a parameter and argument, that is nothing but pass by value. But if I am sending only the address of particular object, then that is nothing but what? Pass by reference. Okay, so we'll see what you mean by pass by value and pass by reference. So coming to the pass by value, so in this pass by value, a copy of an object is passed to the function. Okay, so let me take this as a function. So this function has several lines of code. So and it has some parameter. So consider this as an object. So this object will going to hold the data of a data members and member function of a class, and it will going to have some details regarding the class. So that this object is known as what? Instance of a class. That means it will going to have a replica of a class. Okay, so by using this pass by value, I can send a complete copy of this object as the function parameter. I can send a complete an object as the function parameter. What this pass by value will going to do? So this function will going to create its own copy. So when I am sending function as a parameter, at that time this function will going to create a copy of this object. So what it will going to create? It will going to create a copy of the object. That means what? It will not going to perform any of the operation on the original thing. So it will not going to perform any operation on the original object. So when the object is sent as a argument or parameter to the function, at that time it will going to create one replica or a copy of the object, and it will going to perform an operation on this copy instead of working on the original object. At that time, so if there are any changes made to the objects inside the function, that won't affect on the original object. So there is one object and a function. I can send this object as an argument to this function. When I am sending this object as an argument or a parameter, at this time this function will going to create one replica or a copy of the object. Okay, at that time when it is performing some of the operation using this object, it won't affect on the original object because it has a copy. So in this copy it will going to perform the operation. Any changes made to this object won't affect on the original object. That is nothing but what? Pass by value. I am sending the copy of the object as a argument to the function. So that copy will going to helps the function to perform the several operation. But if I am doing any changes with that object, that won't affect on the original object because I am playing with what? Copy of the object. That is nothing but what? Pass by value. Okay. So coming to the pass by reference. So reference is nothing but what? Addresses of an object. So you all must know it. When we are creating an object, at that time it will going to allocate the memory space. For example, if my class consists of integer along with a character and then float. So every data type has its own sizes. Okay, so based on the declaration of the data members and member function, this memory allocation will be takes place. So when I am creating an object in the sense, at that time in a memory space, it will going to allocate a memory chunks, that is a memory space for a particular object. For example, consider a class EMP and I am creating an object called E. So when I am creating this object E, at that time it will in the memory block it will going to have several addresses. Consider this as 100, 101, 102 like that. Okay. So in pass by reference, when an address of an object is passed to the function is directly worked on that address. So let me consider this as an object and consider this as a function. In pass by value, I am going to send the copy of an object as a argument or a parameter to the function. But what I am doing in the reference or pass by reference, I am sending the address of this object. So that means wherever it presents in the memory block, I am sending the direct address of this object to the function as an argument or a parameter. Okay, if any changes made to this object will directly affect on the original object. So what it means? I am sending the address of a object as an argument or parameter to the function. If I am doing any changes or if I am manipulating the data of that object, that also reflects in the original copy because I am playing with or I am executing or I am processing some data with a direct link with the address of an object. Okay. So that is the difference between pass by value and pass by reference. But pass by reference is more efficient than the pass by value. So in pass by value, it has to take the complete copy of an object. Instead of that, we can just send the link of an address as a parameter or an argument. That will be more efficient. Okay. So this is regarding pass by value and pass by reference. I hope you all understood with pass by reference along with pass by value. That means how we can send an object as an argument or parameter to the function. Okay. So at last we have a difference between classes and structures. So why we need to use the classes even though we have a concept called structure? Okay. Here is the answer for that. Here I am taking structures and this is classes. So in C++, this structure is defined with a keyword called struct. But by using classes, we have a keyword for the classes is class. Okay, a class is defined with a keyword class and the structure is defined with a keyword called struct. Okay, what is the next difference? That is, all the member of the structures are public by default. So we have what? Private, public and protected. Based on our requirement, we can choose the access specifier. Okay, so by default, which is the access specifier that we are going to use in classes? That is private by nature. That means there will be a security for the data. Unauthorized users or the non-member function cannot access that private data. That is not in the case of structure. Okay, because all the members of a structures are public by default. That is important. Here it is private by default. In classes, all the members are private by default and structure cannot be inherited. We cannot inherit the structure concept, but in the classes we can inherit the features. That means we can have the replica of the data members and member function in another class. So that is inherited. Structure consists or contains only data members. So this structure does not have member function. Okay, so it contains only data members. But in classes, we have both data members as well as the member function. What is the first difference? In structure, we are going to use a struct keyword. In classes, we are going to use a class keyword. In structure, there is no access specifier. By default, it will be public in nature. But in classes, by default, the access specifier will be private. And in structure, there is no member function. It has only data members. And in classes and objects, it has both data members as well as the member function, and we cannot inherit the structures, but we can inherit the classes. After that, at last, there is no data hiding features. Anyway, it is in the public by default, in the sense there is no security for the data. That's why there is no data hiding features in the structure, but we have three modes of access specifier, that is public, private and protected, so that it helps us to hide the data in our program. Okay, so this is regarding the difference between structure and classes. I hope you all understood with the today's session. In today's session, we had a discussion regarding difference between classes and structure, and then how can I send an object as a function argument. There are two ways: transfer by using pass by value method or pass by reference. In pass by value, I am going to send the copy of an object. In pass by reference, I am going to send where the object is located in a memory. That means I am going to send only the address of particular object. That will be the thing. And I have a program regarding array of object. After that, how can I use array of object and what will be the methodology, and one example. After that, array as a member of a class. So I can use an array as a data member of a class. That means I can use this array as a variable of a class. After that, so it's all regarding today's class. Okay, so we'll see some of the important questions from this chapter. So in this chapter, you will be getting 1 marks 1 question and 3 marks 1 question. Here are the most frequently asked question of 1 mark. So once you are done with this chapter, you must be able to answer all these questions. Okay, it would be better take the screenshot of this most frequently asked question and answer these questions. That will be helpful for your examination. Okay, so this is all regarding 1 mark question, 1 mark important question also, and then 5 marks question is there. Okay, so in this most frequently asked question is what? How to define the member function outside the class or inside the class, along with explain the declaration and definition of a classes and objects. Okay, so those three are the most commonly asked or most frequently asked question from this chapter. So it's all about classes and object chapter. So we'll meet you in the next chapter. Until that, keep learning, keep on growing. Thank you.